Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum Channel. I'm your host, Prince Magnum, and welcome to another episode of In Your Face. Talk about a dark hour. For those who are not in the know, the Prince Magnum Channel had done some work with Burt TV, and Burt TV is not too popular right now. Let me make a front that we do occasionally work together, but we don't always share the same viewpoints. The Prince Magnum channel has different ways of doing things, and uh, how he does things is not how we do it here. So let's get on with the first part. How is the Prince Magnum channel's In Your Face different than what you see on Burt TV? Well, that's an easy one to explain. Burt TV is really focused on shock value. It's really all about rattling people's cages, and he has a way of he does things. The way Burt does things, it's really focused on just kind of getting under people's skin. When I do anything, calling out public officials, whatever the case may be, it's really all about this is what you're doing wrong, and I want it to stop. But I try to keep out cussing, and hatred is just not my strong point anymore. I mean, I get angry and I need to get it out, but I know that there's women and children watching, and if any of those women and children are watching, I believe that I should show some sort of respect. That's why you could probably count on maybe both hands that I've actually cussed on my channel because of that rule. I don't believe in cussing in front of women and women and children could be watching. So just to kind of cut through that, I don't do that. And I have there's a fine line that we just don't cross. Here on the Prince Magnum channel, we believe strongly that, we should all be heroic and do heroic things, but you can easily go, when you're in the position that, whether it's Burt TV or the Prince Magnum channel, you can go from hero to villain very quickly by your actions and what you might say. So that's why we do things differently on the Prince Magnum channel because, and excuse my language, how many times have I heard in the past that the road to hell is paved on good intentions? So just bear that in mind. Burt does his thing. Prince Magnum does something different. We may share some of the same viewpoints and we may collaborate from time to time, but that's a joint effort towards the same cause, but we don't always agree with each other, even though that, we'll get into that more, okay? So just understand if if you are subscribed to my channel and you're angry with what he had to say, don't think that I'm going to be doing the same thing, okay? I do things differently than he does, and in this video, understand this. I'm not going to defend anybody, but I'm not going to put anybody down. So that's where we stand on this first part. Let's get on with the second part, and you'll see where we're going with this in a real hurry. Alright, if you've stuck with me this far, welcome to part 2 of this video. How do I feel about what was said? Well, to be honest with you, I was probably, to put it bluntly, I was as shocked as many of you. Um, Bear in mind, um, right now, because of everything that's going on here in our fair country, the United States, we see police officers killing what could be innocent people, and then we see other people turning around and killing good police officers. So it's getting really out of hand as far as that goes. And it kind of reminds me of the 1990s with all the gang problems that we had. And then for those that remember, the L.A. riots in what, 91, 91. So a lot of this takes me back to that time. And I was like 11, 12 years old during those days. And So when you look at it, I mean, is that in that light? I mean, it's like, wow, I've, that's been a long time ago, and we're still having issues like that, and it kind of makes you shake your head. Um, but here's where I stand on this, okay? Number one, I have met good police officers, and I've met some that aren't so good. And I'm going to give a couple examples real quick. Um, there's a police officer in Washington, Missouri, a detective, no less, that was involved in ripping my family apart. He lied, interrogated me off camera, all sorts of things like that. And I was forced to plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit. Okay, and this detective is so great he can't even find a handle on a coffee cup. Okay, this detective. Bear in mind when I say he's such a lousy detective. Um, Before my case, I had an aunt who was involved in stealing money from a bunch of banks. She basically ripped off a bunch of banks. She ran to, she ran all the way to Springfield, Illinois, and was hiding out. I was able to tell him how to find her. And by the way, if to my knowledge, it was a different law enforcement agency that had to get her. He did nothing. Um, then my case, and he lied, and that sort of thing, and then turned right around. There's an AA clubhouse right across the street from the police station in Washington that had been broken into, and a bunch of things were actually stolen. By the way, it was AA members that had to tell the police where to find him, and it still took them another 2 weeks to pick this guy up. So this is one of the reasons why we moved away from Washington. This is an example of bad police departments. Okay? Bad police. The detective in question, I mean, I'll never be able to prove it because the way it works is even though he's a crooked police officer, he's still a police officer, and in a court of law, a judge is going to believe him over me. That's just the way it is. That's an example. Okay? And a person like this just needs to be locked up. However, if he was to pass away this second, I hope he can find the peace that he didn't give anybody in life. Okay? That's just how I feel. And it would be let go. But on the other hand, there's an example of a great police officer. In Farmington, there's this police officer, a young man. He's a very young man, and he's a kind and loving gentleman. This officer gives policemen such a good reputation. I can tell you right now, I mean, he's not family to me, but if he was ever in danger, I would be willing to lay down my life for him. And the officer that if he views this video, and I hope he does, he knows who I'm talking about. And to protect him, I won't give his name, but he knows he knows who I'm talking about. And yes, officer, I would go to bat for you any day. I would be willing to lay down my life for you. Another fine example of great police officers, I had my issues with Bonterre PD, but we have long since cleaned up those issues, and we're all good friends now. And any one of the police officers on Bonterre, I'd be willing to lay down my life for. And I hope they know that anytime, any place, anywhere, if they ever need me, all they have to do is call. I would be willing to go to bat for them. And that's an example. However, the police officer that was brought up on Burt TV has passed away. And I don't care what was said. I really don't care what was said. My concern in all of this is the family. Has anybody bothered to go over and check on them? Because obviously these comments had to hurt. And I'm concerned about the family. Okay? Please, if you know the family, if he was married, has children, whatever, could someone please do me a freaking favor and go over and make sure that they're okay? If you need an excuse, tell them Prince Magnum sent you. That is my concern because I myself have lost loved ones, okay? And you never, it's a wound that never goes away. The grief never goes away. And you just kind of learn to live with it because you miss them so much. And the fact that we have comments like this out there on the internet and that sort of thing, can we just forget what was said and just make sure the family's okay? Because that is my concern right now. I could care less what was said. Okay? I'm worried about how it affected the family. So if you know the officer's family, please do me a favor. I don't care what excuse you have to use. If you need to use me as an excuse, I don't care. Obviously, I don't know them, and me just showing up and asking them if they're okay. Um, just go over and check on them if you would. Um, I don't think it's right if I do it, but if you know them, please do so. And that kind of brings us to the end of part two. You know, we really, let's move past what was said and let's focus on the people, the real victims in all of this, the family right now. Okay, because that's the main problem. Okay, so if you've stuck with me this far, I hope you'll stick with me into part three. If you've stuck with me this far and you're wondering, Prince Magnum, what are you going to do about this? Are you going to not talk to Bert? Are I'm of two minds right now. Obviously, I have to protect what it is that I've been trying to do and my channel because the objective in all of this is to get this channel off the ground so I can make a living doing this, and possibly help some people along the way. However, so I mean, right now, because Bert has his thing that he feels he has to do, when, if he feels he's got to do this, I can't stop him. However, in all of this, okay, I was going through some serious stuff, and Bert was there for me. He was a true friend. And he helped me get through some really tough stuff. We did the crossover, and I'll tell you right now, it was video therapy for me because I mean I'm going through the stuff over my newborn son and things like that, and then at the same time I had the issues going on with the city and everything else, and I was overwhelmed. Bert was right there, and he helped me get through that, and I mean, granted what he said, I mean, I wouldn't have done it the way that he done it if I was that angry. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think of all of this, but I can tell you this. As I said earlier in the video, it doesn't take much from anybody really, but especially when you're in on the YouTube, in the YouTube universe, you can easily go from hero to villain in no time flat. I mean, it doesn't take much. And this is a fine example of that. However, in all of this, I mean, Bert was there for me, and what kind of friend would I be if I turned my back on someone who's obviously hurting really bad and feels that they have to go out of their way to do something like this? I mean, so in that regard, I mean, I can't, I'm not going to turn my back on him. That wouldn't be very good of me. And the one thing that, even though my dad and I don't talk, the one thing he really stressed upon me as I was getting older in my teen years is the door to friendship swings both ways. However, right now, because Bert is going through what he needs to go through, I can't work with him right now. I can't work with that right now. That's not the direction that I want the Prince Magnum channel to go. I got no room for hatred and anger like that. I mean, yes, like I said, I get angry too, I get very angry, and I have to blow up, and I say what needs to be said. There's been times that I've sat down and went to do a video, and it was just so rah 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 angry, and then I go back through and it's like, is that really the message I want to convey? And usually it's no. Okay, I'll say 9.9 times out of 10, that's not the message I want to convey. So I'll delete that and then do it the way that it needs to be done. Sometimes it takes me 2, 3 times, and then I listen to myself and I'm like, no, that's not where I want to go. When I heard what was being said, that's not the direction that I want to go. But at the same time, Burt's got his thing, and if that's where he's got to go, then I can't stop him. We operate, he operates his channel, I operate my channel. So if you were offended, if you were upset, that's that's between, how you feel about Burt TV. And the one thing I'll say is, if it upsets you that much, don't watch it. You know, but I don't want people to feel like they can't watch the Prince Magnum channel because, we've had our affiliation in the past. I don't want people to feel like, I'm sitting there, Bert's getting some serious threats, and I'm like, I did videos with you. Do I need to worry? I don't want to need to be, worrying about that. My wife, I love her to pieces and everything, and I don't want to have to, y'all see where I'm going. I mean, I'm okay with me, but there's a lot of things that that I'm going through that have me concerned. Okay, and understand. I mean, Burt is his own person, and if he's hurting this bad that he feels he has to go in that direction, as a friend, obviously I want to be there to help him get through his pain and his anger and all that other stuff. But as far as our channels right now, when he gets through to the other side, the Prince Magnum channel obviously will have its arms open, and as it should be. The Prince Prince Magnum, I should always, even if I'm angry with you, I should always be there with open arms to help someone get through whatever it is. Because what I have to share is not for me to, it's not for me to exclude. I talk about this in so many videos that we need to be inclusive. So, I'm not going to exclude anybody because they have different viewpoints than I do. And that goes for anybody who is kind enough to watch my channel. But at the same time, know that I'm not going to do the same things. And that's really where I'm trying to go with all of this. This is not the message that I want to convey. Am I still going to be there, regardless? At day's end, my focus is to help other people. I've done enough damage in my alcoholic days when I was still out there drinking. I've done enough damage for one lifetime. I don't need to be adding to it. So if you are in that world, maybe you were hurt by this, maybe you're hurt by something else, whatever the case may be, just know, even if I never meet you, that I am still there for you. That is the focus of the Prince Magnum channel, is to help others, to educate, to entertain, and if need be, stand up for what is right. That is my goal with the channel, all at the same time conveying a message of peace and love. Because ultimately, this day and age, what do we all need more than anything? We need something to hope for. That brings us to the end of this video. Like if you would, subscribe if you would. This is the Prince Magnum channel. And I want to do many things to help people. And I want to do for a living. Because if I'm able to do it for a living, I can devote my time a little bit more wisely. to help others. In all of this, whatever God you believe in, whether it's Jesus Christ or Yahweh if you're Jewish, whatever God you believe in, I don't care, even if it's Mother Earth herself. May you hold them close to you and to your heart, and may you find peace and love in the turmoil of life. And as always, if nobody has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.